Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry, very sorry for the last minute cancellation yesterday, and thank you very much to Scott for being my emissary. Chapter 11, verse 12, we were discussing earlier in the week. Moshe describes the burdens of Klal Yisrael in 3 different languages. The Ramban had a very interesting pshat describing the different aspects of Moshe's role as the leader of the Jewish people. Sforno on Pasuk Yud Tor Chachem. I'm sorry. Yeah. Excuse me. I don't know. Where's Yosef? Wait, where's Yosef?
I don't know.
She was going back and forth with Yosef. Okay, sorry. I left the car seat on my car. Right. Okay. Why do you have to? Okay. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, so the Sforno says on Pasuk Yud Beis Tor Chachem, Biktatos Hakoros Bilti Tvias Mamon. So Tor Chachem, your burdens, is when people have arguments having nothing to do with monetary claims. There's just arguing. And so that's a great translation for Tor Chachem. Tor Chachem means your bothers. Like, what do it doesn't even make monetary difference. You're just arguing with each other. You want someone to referee your argument. Masachem, your burden, B'tzorchi Rabim, having to do with matters of the masses, the communal needs, v'rivchem, and your arguments. Binyanei hadin u'tvias mamon. So he understands that refers to their arguments, disputes, has to do with monetary disputes. Just another pshat. Okay, now in verse 13 it says, Moshe says to them, you need to delegate, you need to appoint new judges that will serve under me. Havu lachem, bring for yourselves, anashim chachamim unvonim viduim l'shiftechem. Bring for yourselves wise men and known to your tribes. V'asimeim barashichem, and I will place them in position of authority for you. So it's interesting. What does it mean that they should be known? What they have to be the most famous people in Klal Yisrael? Is that what it means? It says wise, understanding, known people to your tribes. What is the significance of being known? Very interesting difference in pshat over here. If you look at the Ramban on Pasuk Yud Gimel, V'yiduim l'shiftechem, shehayu nikarim lachem, that they were known to you. Shim ba lefanai mu'utaf betaliso, eini yodea mihu u'me'ez shevethu. Moshe says, who's going to pick up the judges? I'm going to pick the judges? I don't really know them. They come, they look all from, I don't know who they are. I don't know what tribe they're from. Avolatem makirim also. But you really know the people. Shegidaltem also. You raise these people within your tribes. So that's Rashi. So Rashi says the pshat is not, they have to be people who are known. That's not the pshat. The pshat is, you, the tribe members, you're the best people to choose the judges because you really know them inside out. They grew up among you. Me, there's just a person coming before me with a resume and he looks good, but I don't really know him. I don't really know his whatever the skeletons in his closet or his unique talents, etc. So known means known to your tribes. You people will do a better job of choosing than I will. The imkain yelashivtechem kasher im viduim. So according to this, the word to your tribe is connected to being known. Aval al derech hapshat tamo havu lachem l'shiftechem anashim chachamim. But he says, what I really think the pshat for your tribes is not that they should be known to your tribes. It's that appoint for your tribes people with these qualities. One of the qualities is that they should be wise. V'aldati tam yiduim, shem yiduim l'shoftim, that they're known as judges. Klomar, shema'alasam yodua v'keres l'manosam ba shoftim. Says the Ramban, it's not that we want people who are famous per se, but we want people who are respected. And in the end of the day, people come for a case, they need to have confidence in the judge they're standing before. So no, we do need people who are Yeduim, who are known as who they are and what their qualities are, and that they're respected. Such an interesting shot from the Ramban. Okay, moving on to verse 14. So Moshe says, it's time to get judges. It says in the Pasuk, Vatanu Osi, you responded to me, Vatomru, and you said, Tov hadavar asher dibarta lasos. You said, good idea, Moshe. What you said is a good thing to do. Okay, it seems to be an innocuous enough pasuk. It's a very famous Rashi on this pasuk. Rashi on pasuk Yudalad Vatanu Osi Chalatatem es hadavar la'anaschem. You responded based on your own personal benefit. Hayalachem lahashiv. What you should have responded was Rabbeinu Moshe, Moshe our teacher. Mimi noel lilmod. Who's good to learn from? Mimcha or mitalmidcha? Who should we want to come before for cases? You or your disciples, your delegates? Lo mimcha, and it's the arta aleha. Moshe, we want you. We don't want some third stringer. You're the teacher of Torah to Klal Yisrael. You're God's emissary. We want you to judge our cases. So why were you so accommodating? Moshe said, we need other people to judge your case. He said, great, no problem. Why were you so menschlich about it? Eliadati machshvo sechem. I know your thoughts. Hayisem omrim, you were saying to yourselves, Achshav yismanu aleinu dayanan harbe. There's going to be plenty of judges in the on the benches now. Moshe Rabbeinu, you couldn't push around. But now there's going to be a whole legion of judges. Guess what? If we think we can impact the case, we'll give them a gift, and that'll change everything. So Moshe said, it's not that you were being accommodating to your leader's wishes. It's that you decided in the long run, you'll get your will better if lesser people are judges. That's why you were so fine with it. Very interesting medrash cited by Rashi. On this discussion is an Orach Chaim. Orach Chaim on Pasuk Yudalad. Vatanu Osi. Rabboseinu Zal Amru, She'amar Lahem, Hayalachem Lomar, Rabbeinu Noshe, Mimino Alilmo, V'lom Choshvitz Ta'arto Lehem. So he cites Rashi that it's a criticism, that they shouldn't have been so fast to allow Moshe to appoint others. The Efshel Lefarish HaKasav L'Shvach. Says the Orach Chaim, you could explain this pasuk in a positive way. She'Yisrael nitztaru ala davar. It bothered the Jewish people that Moshe had to appoint delegates. Avolah noas Moshe machlu al atzmam. But because it would be easier for Moshe, they were gracious about it. They said, fine. Fuomro tov adavar lahakeo me'al rabbeinu. He says, that's the pshat, why they said this matter is good. Why would they say it's good? That presumably is what the Medrash is responding to. What do you mean, great? What do you mean, great? You're going to get a second tier judge. But no, what's great is if this makes our leader's life easier, that's great. By the way, says the Orach Chaim, it says in the pasuk, Asher Dibarta. Dibur is a connotation of words that are not so easily imparted, not so gentle. And what it means in this context, says Orach Chaim, is it wasn't music to their ears that Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't going to be the judge for their cases. But they still said Tova Davar, that it's good because they wanted to support his decision. Vagam, okay. Moving on to the next paragraph. The Efshar Lomar, Ki Moshe Nischakim, L'daber Devarim Hanishma Mehem, Shtei Drachim, Echel L'gnai K'moshe Amru B'Sifri, V'echel L'Shvach K'moshe Pirashnu. So it's so interesting. The Medrash is understanding the pasuk in a very different light than Orach Chaim says it could be understood. And he suggests maybe Moshe Rabbeinu meant it both ways. V'tamo ki b'Yisrael hayu shnei sugim. Like with everything else, there were different elements among the Jewish people. Achas kat hatzadekes, v'achas kat hakantoris. One group were people who really had their heart in the right places. And those people, to them, Moshe is describing them as saying, even though it was difficult for them to hear this, they supported Moshe's decision. And the other is not so much so. And the other is argumentative and difficult. And guess what? Everybody knows what was in their hearts. You know which group you were in. You know if you were happy for Moshe to be out of the picture or you were sad that Moshe was out of the picture. Okay, so basically what he says is Moshe Rabbeinu said a sentence that can be understood in two very different ways because there are two elements in Klal Yisrael. An interesting thing to think about. Okay, let's jump ahead now to verse 23. Jumping ahead to verse 23. So now, wait, I'm so sorry, excuse me. So now, fast forwarding in the parsha, the Jewish people came to Moshe, and the Jewish people said, we want to send spies to look at the land. And Moshe, we've learned a lot about this when we discuss Parsha Shlach. And Pasuk of Gimel, it says, Vayitav b'nei hadavar. Moshe said this was good in his eyes. V'ekach mikem shnei masar anashim. I took from you 12 men, ish echad lashavet, 1 man per tribe. There's great description of who these people were in the beginning of Parsha Shlach, the 12 spies, and they're all described as Roshei Bnei Yisrael, the heads of Bnei Yisrael. Here, Moshe says, I took 12 men, 1 per tribe. It's an obvious discrepancy. Ramban and Pasuk of Gimel makes an interesting comment. V'ekach mikem shnei masar anashim lo shibech osam b'nesiyusam be'yosam Roshei Bnei Yisrael. He did not praise them as being the heads of tribes. These people, the general group of the people, acted in a very negative way. So he doesn't want to praise them. The Torah praises them when the story is happening, because as the story is unfolding, it's important to understand who these people were. And at that time, they were viewed in a very positive way. But when Moshe's recounting the story, he's not going to refer to them as these great people, because they sure didn't act like great people. So it's just an interesting thing to think about. And now let's just jump over to verse 25. Again, as is everything in Sefer Torah, it's kind of like a fast forward review. They brought in their hands from fruits of the land, and they brought it to us. They brought us word and they said, the land that God gives to us is good. It's a very interesting dispute over here between Rashi and the Ramban, which we'll end with. Who said the land is good? Rashi says it was only Yoshua and Caleb who said the land is good. Everyone else said negative things. The Ramban says that's not how I understand the story, and this might ring a bell because we discussed this Ramban in Parsha Shlach. The Ramban says they all started off by saying the land is good, and they meant that the land is good. The only problem is there's no way we'll take it. There's no way we'll conquer the people living there. So we discussed this morning the Sforno regarding the Moshe's description of the difficulty of dealing with Klal Yisrael. We discussed what it means that the judges should be known. We've discussed Rashi and the Ramban in that regard. We discussed Rashi citing the Medrash, criticizing the Jewish people for being so fine with Moshe's plan to appoint other judges, and the Rachaim suggestion there's another way to understand the line. We discussed the fact that the Ramban points out that the Jewish people the spies are not praised here. And we discussed this interesting discussion between Rashi and the Ramban regarding who exactly said the land is good. I apologize, I've got to run. I have car issues. I want to wish everyone a wonderful day. Thank you very much.